Hi, my name is Sadie Smith, and I recently started to wonder, where does the money in our school come from? How is it decided to build places like the new A Hall over renovating other spaces? To find out, I interviewed our superintendent, Mr. Polkinghorn, and our principal, Mrs. Jones. I found out that it was a lot more complicated than I originally thought, so I helped create this chart to hopefully help you visualize how money gets spent. The overall funding sources are at the top, federal, state, and so on, and then the arrows are different funding streams as they get more and more specific all the way down to hiring teachers. This chart is color-coded with the two main types of funding the school spends, general in red and special in blue, but that will all be explained. Hope you enjoy. Who decides what the district budget will be?
Ultimately, the official budget is approved by the school board at a board meeting.
The district budget is made up of two parts.
The general funds and then the special funds. And those are the two big parts of our school budget.
The general fund
Gets money from the state, which gets money from taxes collected from various entities and income taxes, and so it's all funded through taxpayer dollars. The funds that we use for staffing the schools, that's the biggest piece of our budget, and then the rest is what we call discretionary funds that then your principal has some discretion over how to spend. Like, are we going to buy paper? Are we going to buy markers? How are we going to use these funds to support the students in the school so they can do the things that they want to do? The transportation, food services, all your extracurricular activities like sports and theater and like all of those are all paid for out of the general fund. Almost all, yeah. And so when we are looking at developing a budget and how we allocate resources to our schools, what we're looking at is enrollment in the buildings, how many students are there, and then we allocate staffing to those buildings depending on how many students are there, and that's how the budget then gets sent to the different schools.
Yeah, so I don't get to decide how many teachers I get in each department. We can decide things like how many courses are taught within each department. That general budget allows us at the administration level in each building to have a little bit more control over, like, let's say, department-specific budgets.
Special funds.
And then there's, for lack of a better term, I'll call it special funds, which include grants from like federal grants or state grants or local grants. There are capital funds, so money that's set aside for projects like building new buildings or fixing roofs. So those are capital funds. There's like the two big things within the special fund. The special funds are really are special because they're most of them are specifically designated for like a very specific purpose. So we can't just use that money to pay for teachers.
Special funds were used to build the A Hall.
That was funded through a bond that our school district went out and lobbied for, but because there was savings associated, then we were able to deploy that project and that idea to build that wing. One of the big goals was to try to create a connected CTE space. Before, students had to go outside and be outside the building and be disconnected when they were going out to some of the CTE classes that were offered. And so this was a way of creating more of that inclusive approach with all classrooms within the building and really connect that to our facility. So that was some of the work done there.
Special fund money can come from many sources, whereas general funds can only come from the state and sometimes the local.
So they could be from what they call local, state, or federal. So local funds, I can't even think of what those might be, but there's a lot of small grants in the community that are sort of locally developed and written by teachers or by administrators, and it's not a lot of money, but we hold those funds in the district. And then there's state special funds that are things like the student investment account or the high school success program, Measure 98.
Measure 98 is high school success, and so those were funds that we were able to access that are specifically for projects or areas that are going to help students, high school students, be successful. For us in the CTE department, we know that when students take CTE courses and they take at least 2 of those and become CTE concentrators, the graduation rate increases to 98%. And so we want to create more pathways in that area for kids to be successful at school.
We also took in a big grant from the state, and that was really around summer school with lots of different opportunities that were sort of different or unique than sort of traditional school. And that was all from the state's funding for schools, sort of re-engagement, trying to get kids back into schools and sort of excited about school again. And then there's federal special funds. There's been 3 sort of rescue plans from the federal government, ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3. It's like last year we used a lot of those dollars to really rapidly expand our Hood River Options Academy and put a lot more teachers there and a lot more staff, because we knew we had like almost 1,000 students enroll in that school when normally it's about 200, 250. So we needed more teachers there, so we used those ESSER dollars to pay for those teachers.
Just to recap, funding comes from all 3 forms of government: local, state, and federal, along with private money. It goes into one of 2 pots, general or special funds, which are used for very different things. General funds are for hiring teachers and providing funds to keep the school running. Special funds are for all the cool renovations and some of the extra programs at our school. If you want to learn more about this, the official budget is posted on the district website. If you would like to have a say in how the budget is decided, you can talk to the school board at a board meeting, or at the school level, you can talk to the principal or your teacher to advocate for different spending.